Hey guys, Tony here with RVBarndominium. Let me tell you what, if anybody thinks that owning an RV is going to be rainbows and unicorns and joys and happiness is sadly mistaken. These units, including pull-behinds, pop-ups, heck, probably even tents, they're not built like a Humvee. They're built like an RV, which isn't military grade. Things are going to break. They're going to break often, and you just got to learn to deal with it. So one of the things that we had is in between weekend camping trips, we ended up leaving something turned on. I don't know what it was, and it drained the RV battery for the engine, which means we couldn't start it. I was wondering whether I had a bad battery. So I took the battery out, charged it up, and it held charge, took it into the automotive place, tested good. So I'm like, oh, good. It was just drained. And I put it back in. Then when I put it back in, and as you should always do, the day before we were going to go on a trip, might have been 2 days before we went on a trip, we came across an issue. We came out, we did our checklist on the RV to make sure everything was running, especially because we had a mechanical issue with the battery. And when I turned the RV on, it came across with an error on our electronic levelers. Again, it is the second time we've had an issue with the levelers. I think this was part of the first issue, and it finally reared its ugly head. But we have an LCI, electronic leveling system, and it works great. Technology, it's great until it goes south. And then when it goes south, you're kind of stuck. It's not like a mechanical leveler. You can just crank her up and go about your business. Our issue this time is that when we did not put the levelers down when we came home from the first camping trip. When we turned the engine on, it said that the levelers were down. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember putting them down. And I walked outside and looked underneath the RV, and one of the leveling jacks had lowered itself about halfway, which could be the hydraulics let it seep down, which isn't a good thing either. That's not good, but it had seeped and went down. So I didn't know what that was, and I thought, I'll just turn it on, hit all up, retract all, or it's called retract all. Retract all the leveling jacks up, we'll go about our merry way. Nah, it didn't work that way. So when I hit retract all, guess what happened? They didn't retract. They all went down. And when I mean they went down, I mean they went to the floor. They bottomed out, picked the entire RV up off the ground, 4 wheels in the air. That's not retract. So I had 2 options. I could sit and try to figure out what's wrong with it, or I could do a NASCAR pit stop and have everybody come and change all the tires while we're in the air. Well, I didn't need new tires, so we had to figure out what was wrong. So played with the control over here a little bit, couldn't get it working, couldn't figure out what was going on. And for the life of me, I could not get this RV out of the air. And that's a bad thing with an RV. So technology is great, but not when it goes south. So here's what happened. So because we had that first issue with the leveling jacks, I had called the LCI from their online phone number, or it might have been the number that was in the manual, something of that sort. And they were extremely helpful. I mean, extremely. Boom, boom. He told me a code sequence, type in 4 buttons, hold them down, bam. And it was reset and ready to rock and roll. So this is my leveling jack system right here. So this motor unit right here was very hot. Hotter than it should be, especially after not doing much. You know, we've lowered 1 time. So I called the manufacturer, got a technician online on the helpline, and told him my situation and what I was doing. And he knew basically how to get around the problem. And I will show that to you. What he ended up having me do, I'll put it in a B-roll clip right here. But there is a plug on the side of this motor unit over here. And he had me unplug that plug. Now what that would cause is that plug goes to a relay that switches whether the sending unit tells the hydraulics to go up or down, depending on the way that cylinder goes. Luckily, the engineers of this manufactured product were smart, and they made it so that if you unplug that plug, it will default to raise the jacks. Very, very, very smart. So we unplugged that plug, and then I went into the control unit on the inside, hit the retract all this time, and all of the jacks went up. Now we have a problem. I can't level my RV though. So what it turned out to be is that the manufacturer and the person helping me told me that quite possibly this wiring harness that interconnects all of the components, and it interconnects each of the cylinders that go to my jacks going up and down. He wanted to replace this wiring harness, and because of that different harness, and it's a newer model, he also had to replace it's a control box of some sort. Now, I don't know why, but the control box is not in the same compartment as my hydraulic system. All the pumps and everything are up there, but the control box is in a different compartment, and mine, so luckily, is in the box, with my black tank and my sewage pump and all that. And even better, it's up here on the ceiling, right here. You can see it there. Right there it is, right there. So that is trying to see if it had a word on it of what it is. But they sent me a new one of those also, because that wiring harness would only talk with this new unit. The older unit that came with my RV wouldn't work on it. So they sent me a new one of these, and they sent me a wiring harness to replace for all of that. I didn't record the replacing of the unit or the replacing of this. This one's very easy here. Unplug your two plugs, or your two or three plugs that's on the harness. They'll only plug back in the same fashion, in the same way, and it worked fine. The one thing you got to watch about on the pump unit on the harness, there was a little difference on there. The new wiring harness that they sent me basically was the same, except it had a few extra plugs. Okay, so that's what you got to watch out for. It's universal for other units. It had a different, another main plug here on this one. Also up on the units where it goes to your actually leveling legs. This manifold, this big hunk of steel right here, has a spare hole here that you could add up to 6 leveling jacks. I only use 4. So I have 2 on this side and 2 on the back. They're actually color coded here with the orange, the green and the purple, the blue and the red. That is my 4. I could add an additional 2, and this harness has the extra plugs for those extra units. So I just had to, the other ones were purple and with the same with colors. I just matched the colors with the colors, and everything worked out great. No, it wasn't nearly as hard as it sounds. It was literally plug and play. You did have to take off the bolts. This bolt right here, to put it onto this, and one here, a big one that was on here, and some grounds. Not major ones. The only kicker is always remember, disconnect your electrical power before you go messing with the hot sides and plugging those in. And then of course this was my main plug, and then I re-plugged in the plug on the side, B-roll footage of the plug that I had to use that goes to the relay that makes it go up and down. Now I don't know why the old unit broke. I mean, things break. This is a fairly old, I think it's 2013, 2012, 2013 RV. So, I mean, she's got some years on her. Things go bad. They manufactured the LCI when I called them. They sent me the harness and they sent me that control unit back there, no charge. So, I mean, I cannot complain about that at all. So it's either a known issue they have, or it's just an astounding company. I'm going with astounding company because I have had to call them twice, And both of the technicians that I talked to on the phone knew what they were doing. It was like you were talking to the mechanics from the shop. So whether they patch you through to the shop in the back of the building, I don't know, but they know what they're doing, and it's not like they're reading a script from a book, play by play. They were very well. I even told the guy that, and I told him, I said, dude, I have talked to y'all twice, and y'all have knocked it out of the ballpark both times. You know, very knowledgeable. But so replacing those 2 units is what our issue was. Unplugging that plug on the side of the unit, that one gray plug, B-roll footage, unplugging that plug, and then coming back here onto the interior of the RV, hitting your on and hit retract all, then turned off the relay system to where it would default relay to raise the jacks, and at least you can get home or where you're going. We just left it undone, or we just went camping and we didn't use the jacks that weekend. So it wasn't a big issue. We just leveled it with the stack boxes and leveled the RV that way. So, so everything worked out great. The only thing that happens is whenever you put a new control unit in like that, the RV leveling system no longer knows what level is. I would have thought that they would have used I don't know what's called a mercury switch or something of that would understand and know where level is to level the RV. That's not the way it works. So stick around for video number 2 coming up after this. Is going to be on how to use the leveling system, how to reset level. So if you have a problem that yours no longer knows what level is, or for some reason your level is no longer level, next video is going to be on how to configure and set level using your LCI electronic leveling system, because I don't think it's in the manual, and they sent me the PDF file. So we'll put that on the next video, and I'll show you how to do that. It's very easy. Very handy to know. So stick around for the next video. This is Tony with RVBarndominium, and hope it helps you out in case you're in a bench and in a bind. So y'all have fun out there. Hopefully we'll see you.